What's up, everybody? I hope you're doing good. It's a beautiful day. I'm happy again to be here with you. It feels so good, when I see everything that I see every single day, your comments, your reactions, getting to this point to discuss with you again. It's always such a pleasure. Thank you very much for stopping by. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. You're watching us a lot from South Africa. Thank you for that. Thank you, Zimbabwe. Thank you so much, Tanzania, Uganda. I see you, Kenya. I see you, Nigeria, Ghana, Malawi. I see you, Sudan, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Somalia, Rwanda, Burundi. I see you from the United States of America. Thank you so much. From the UK, Canada, Jamaica, Tobago. Thank you so much. South America, everybody on the Caribbeans, Brazil. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I see some people from Serbia watching us. Serbia. Oh my goodness. Thank you. We have something very interesting to say about today. Before we get started, let's all do this. You know how it goes. And if this is your first time here, please subscribe. Yeah, please do it here. I'm sure you're going to like us. We are one big family. For sure. So today we're talking about something very interesting. President Ruto of Kenya made an interesting comment about Niger. Yes. President Ruto, somebody that I personally appreciate, made a very interesting comment, and I want you to watch it so you can make your own decision on what he said. So he was asked a question in Mozambique, apparently, about the situation in Niger. For those of us who don't know, Niger is a beautiful country in Africa. Please put the map that has been fighting very hard on how to change the situation. So we're going to listen to President Ruto and I make a comment right after. Okay? Let's go.
We broke away and we broke the chains of colonialism in our continent. And we broke the chains of colonialism because they were imposed on us without our will, without our wish.
So for context, he was asked a question on how does he feel about what's happening in Niger? Because people have toppled the president in Niger in order to take back the power for the people. How do you feel about what's happening in Niger? This was his answer.
They were undemocratic. They were not participatory. They were against the majority will of the people of our continent, whether it is the Portuguese here in Mozambique or the British in Kenya. These were wills that were imposed on our people without their consent. Our position is that undemocratic, unconstitutional imposition of the will of any government of whatever nature on the people without their consent is wrong, the same way colonialism was wrong. And that Africa can only proceed into the future if we allow the people of our countries and of our continent to determine their destiny and to choose their leaders in democratic means, using democratic means. The way you do here in Mozambique and the way we do in Kenya and the way it is done in many parts of our continent. And therefore, as a union, in the Africa Union, we are against any undemocratic removal of any government. Coups are not a panacea. They are not a solution to the challenges that we have as a continent. They are as undemocratic as the colonial masters. And we are taking a very firm position as nations, as the Africa Union. Any undemocratic removal of any government immediately earns the expulsion from the Africa Union. They cease to be members of the Africa Union. And as I said, ECOWAS, which is part of the building blocks of the Africa Union, is handling the case, for example, in Niger. IGAD is handling the case in Sudan. Because we believe that we should be able to provide a solution as leaders in this continent on matters that concern all our countries. We are all informed that today there is a meeting of ECOWAS, for example, to deliberate on the coup in Niger. Our position is that President Bazoum should be reinstated as the democratically elected president of Niger, and whatever interventions ECOWAS will agree on will have the support of those of us in the Africa Union so that we can put a stop to the slide to undemocratic government in our continent.
I think we all heard what President Ruto said. Basically, let's put a map of Kenya here so some of our brothers can understand. This is Kenya, East Africa, beautiful place, lovely people. Kenya is a little bit of a, miniature of New York in Nairobi. Yeah, they love the life of New Yorkers. You won't feel too lost if you go to Kenya, if you love New York. Anyway, not very close, but yeah, whatever. Anyway, Kenya is a beautiful place. This is President Ruto of Kenya talking about Niger, which is another country. Please put a map. Niger, it's on the other side of Africa. Basically, we think we all heard what he said. He said the African Union will expel whichever country that decides to topple their president. And that's number one. Number two, he said they are supportive of ECOWAS in order to go and fight people in Niger. Basically, to reinstate President Bazoum. It's not going to be easy. He said reinstate President Bazoum in power, in office. But this is not going to be easy because there are people with guns there. In other words, it means they are supporting ECOWAS to go fight people in Niger. Let me give you context for those of us who don't understand. You're probably here for the first time. For you to understand the Niger situation, please click on these videos here. It's going to help you very quickly. But very fast, this is what's happening in Niger. Niger is a lovely country in West Africa. Very hot, but lovely people. People of Niger have been very tired for many years because of their president. They don't like their president very much because they feel like their presidents fight more for Western countries' development than he fight for the actual people of the country. So he favors people from other different countries, other big companies from Western nations. He favors other big institutions from Western nations that he helps his own people. The proof is in the pudding. Niger produces a lot of uranium. Uranium is necessary for the production of energy or electricity. 30% of France's energy come from Niger. So France's energy, electricity come from Niger. However, people of Niger don't have electricity home. So the people of Niger say they've had enough of that president, whose name is Mohamed Bazoum, who seemingly only works for Western nations' interest. They don't want him anymore. His bodyguards toppled him, put him out of power, and they took the lead of the country. But for a couple of weeks now, many countries of Africa, especially people of ECOWAS are 15 countries, these are the 15 countries of ECOWAS, have come together trying to topple the new government in Niger, meaning the new government of the people who have decided to take the country within their own hands are being faced with oppressive intention from other African countries who do not like them. So, Niger is one of those countries that's been hit very hard with terrorism. But we have never seen any of these countries of ECOWAS level up and say, you know what, let's come together and go fight terrorism in Niger. They've never done that. But now that the people of Niger say we are tired of terrorism, we are tired of suffering, we want to take the lead of our country, ECOWAS suddenly say, okay, we don't like that, we're going to come to your country and beat you up and reinstate the president who's 100 bracket making you suffer. President Ruto is a very interesting figure of Kenya. He's the brand new president of Kenya. Very strong in his stance. He speaks a lot of truth. But how do you feel about what he just said? He said he supports ECOWAS, meaning he supports ECOWAS in toppling again the new government and reinstating Mohamed Bazoum into power. He doesn't believe that undemocratic power should be ruling any African country. Now, my question to that is, he says people should be elected democratically. It sounds good. But my question to you is this. How many African countries actually respect democracy? How many African countries have transparent and clear elections where people truly, really win the election the way they should, with no tricking, no twitching, no lying, no manipulation? How many African countries? Not many African countries are actually really democratic. We can pretend all we want, we can act all we want, but the reality is, as much as, look, if your president is the president, obviously you're going to say your country is democratic, but we all know it's never really that. We all know they try to do some things on that side so people from that side don't get to vote. We know they try to move things on this side so people from that side don't get to vote. We know what happens in Africa. Apart to very few African countries that are actually democratic, like South Africa and very small other countries, many African countries are not democratic. So I think it's very difficult to say that you cannot be angry at your president just because you have to respect democracy. If the president is doing absolutely wrong to the nation, how do you react to that? If the president is destroying the good of the nation, if the president is only looking after the interests of Western nations, how do you react to that? Because we all know there are no procedures that are normal that you can go through and recall your president into his action in Africa. You cannot do that. You cannot say, President, you are doing this is wrong, that is wrong, and he listens to you. Not in Africa. In most African countries, at least. Very few African countries are where justice can actually say something to the president, recall the president on a decision, and he changes his mind. In most African countries, unfortunately, when a president makes a decision, that decision is final. There's no way to call him back. We all know that. So, should the people of Africa just stay quiet in spite of every situation they're going through? Should the people of Africa just shut up, even if they're being exploited while they're living without electricity? Should the people of Africa just be quiet, in spite of the difficult situation, the hardship, the poverty they're living in, because they voted somebody or somebody voted themselves? I don't know. President Ruto is a very interesting figure. He said some very good things in the past that I really appreciate. President Ruto allowed some countries of Africa to come to Kenya with no visa. He said we need to prioritize understanding, development. We need to prioritize exchange, facilitate people into buying and selling to each other. President Ruto has allowed people of the Congo, Brazzaville, to come to Kenya with no visa, vice versa. He has done the same from people in Somalia, and he is looking to do the same with many other African nations, which is plausible, really good things. As much as I feel he has been right in many points, with all due respect, how do you feel about his comment about Niger, saying specifically that African Union should expel every country that uses a coup? Number two, encouraging ECOWAS into going into Niger and replacing current people with the old president, Mohamed Bazoum. What President Ruto said is almost the opposite of what President Yoweri Museveni of Uganda said earlier. He mentioned the fact that France profits from Niger's uranium to create electricity. In the meantime, Nigerians themselves have no electricity. Also, let me remind you, in a recent summit of Russia-Africa, President Ruto did not attend. He wasn't there. Now, my question is this. Is President Ruto perhaps working for Western interests without saying it clearly? Let me know how you feel about this. It's always a great pleasure to read from you. If you forgot to do this, please do this so we can push forward, and make your comment so we can all learn from each other. God bless.